Alright, so this is a video on how to make a proper shisha. We're going to show you everything from the bowl to the pipe to adding the water, the coals, everything. I've got a professional here with me right now. I used to work in the lounge. He's going to show you how it's done.
Yeah. Alright, so we start off with cleaning the surface that you're going to put the shisha flavour onto. You don't need to do this part, but it makes the shisha flavour taste better. So you just wipe it down a bit, and then we're using wipes, anti-bac wipes, but you can just clean it with anything. And then make sure that the surface is dry, so that it doesn't disrupt the taste of your flavour. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to be using some blue mist and strawberry mojito today, but you can use whichever flavour you want. And yeah, which head should I use?
We'll decide that at the end. Let's make a flavour. Actually, let's do it now. Actually,
yeah.
What's the difference between the heads?
Alright, so you see the different sizes.
Yeah.
So different heads can hold different amounts of flavour. So this one's smaller than this one, so for this one I'd have to put a bit less flavour, and so on.
So what's the difference between the clay heads and the silicone heads?
Alright, so these clay heads, as you can see, they're harder and they're better for the shisha, but these ones are also easier to clean because they're silicone, so you can just squeeze it and the flavour comes straight out.
Nice.
This one's a new head. I don't know too much about this one, but it holds less flavour than this one, so if we're using this one I'd have to know.
I guess it just looks nice, doesn't it?
Let's use the glass one.
The glass one, yeah? Right. Just move these out of the way. Oh yeah, and these are chimney. This is a chimney. This is something you can put the coals onto, but we'll get into that later. And this is like another form of it, but yeah. Right, so you get however much of your flavour you need, or well, I normally eyeball it, but you can measure it inside the thing and then put it back onto the surface.
While we're doing that, we might as well put the coals on.
Yeah, might as well.
I'm gonna get another assistant over here to sort that out. Go on, you Sedge.
Okay.
You just grab the coals and whack on one. So while we're making the flavour, yeah, that's fine. While we're making the flavour, we're just gonna let the coals run in the background.
Yeah. What ratio do you want?
Just put two.
Huh?
What ratio do you want? Blue mist to strawberry mojito.
More strawberry mojito.
You want to put it near each other so that it burns faster.
Yeah, good stuff. By the way, these are Arabian heads, you know that?
You find it clear?
Yeah, the clay ones.
Yeah.
This is normally the one I use all the time, but I don't know. The glass one is new, so I'm testing it out. And the glass one uses less flavour, so there's less waste. Whereas the Arabian heads are quite deep, so they use a lot of flavours.
That looks right to me. Again, some of the steps that I'm doing are not necessary, but again, they make the shisha taste better and etc.
Right, so explain to me why you have a butcher knife.
Okay, we'll get onto that in a minute, but first what you want to do, you want to mix the flavours. Of course, you don't need to mix it properly, but again, it's just for the flavour. So you just mix it in, make sure it's properly mixed.
You look like you're about to have rice.
That looks alright to me.
That's
That's
a lot
it.
of juice.
Yeah, get into that in a minute as well. Alright, so let me explain the butcher knife here. You don't need to use a butcher knife, but I mean, for me it's easier to use a butcher knife. So what you do...
And why is that? Why is that? Is it because you used to hold in a butcher knife?
It's my past, man. But anyways, so what you want to do is you want to get the knife. You can either chop it straight like this, or you can make it look like a professional, which is what I'm going to do. You hold it on the end and you dice it, just like you're cooking. This helps the flavour evenly burn, because the flavour's cut up into smaller chunks, so it's easier when you spread it into the head. Yeah.
Should we not be using a chopping board?
Yeah, but the surface here, I already cleaned it and it looks nicer for the video. Normally I'd suggest using a chopping board, but this works in this case.
Yeah, so don't try this out.
Without adult supervision.
At home, use a chopping board.
And also this surface is flat and it's like marble, so it's easier to clean as well. Whereas a chopping board would probably take more effort to clean. Right, so that should be alright.
That looks delicious. Here's one I prepared earlier.
Right, so this is a part, it's not necessarily like I said, but also it makes it taste better. So you get this, you get the tissue, you fold it up. You don't need to fold it up, but it's easier if you fold it up so that it drains the juice better. And you just dab it on lightly, and you see the flavour doesn't get stuck onto the tissue, so you're lucky. Just dab it, dab it, dab it. And you do that. You don't dab it too much, or else all the juice is gonna go and you're gonna get a dead flavour. But you know, you just do it enough. That looks alright to me. Just dispose of the tissue. Now you bring your head.
What step are we on now?
I'm not counting, but there should be writing that says.
There's no writing.
No writing?
There's no
Oh,
writing.
never mind.
You can rewind and check yourself.
Yeah. So if you get confused, just rewind and watch the video again. And yeah. So this step, what I like to do, I put my fingers like this, cover it with my thumb, so that none of the flavour. Yeah, cover the hole with my thumb so that none of the flavour drops in. And while I'm dropping the flavour, I slowly twist it, as you can see. And then I pick up the flavour, pick up like this, so that there's not much density in the flavour. And you just lightly drop it on. You don't put it in or like push it on. You lightly drop it.
Let it fall evenly.
Yeah. If it falls on the side, it's fine. You just tap it, bring it. And again, you repeat while spinning.
Look at the handwork going on here. Look at that. It's like window washing.
Please, Haj.
Get all of that flavour.
Again, some of these steps that I do are not needed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a tissue and I'm going to wipe around the edges. Again, you don't need to do this, but just for presentation purposes, just wipe it down a bit so it looks better. Yeah.
Right, let's get a look at this.
Decent.
Very good.
Yeah. As for cleaning your surface, while you're cleaning your hand, so you get the sink, while you're cleaning your hand, you just bring a bit of water into your hand, not too much. And you just drop it where you were making the shisha flavour, just so that it's easier to clean. So you just wipe it down, and that's it, finished. Or you can just use an antibacterial wipe, but this just happens to be easier in this case.
Right, today we're going to be using, we're not using the big chimney, we're going to use the black one.
Small.
I think it's called some sort of leaf. Can't remember what it was called, but I bought it off Amazon.
Yeah. Should I put it on you?
Yeah, go on.
Alright.
1 sec, let me focus. Yeah, 1 second. Okay. Go on.
So this fits perfectly on top. You can buy it on Amazon, like we said. You just squeeze it in. That's alright. See, as you can see, it fits in perfectly, and there's no problems.
Yep, then your coals will go in there, and that will
Cover
go on
it.
top.
And this allows you to adjust the airflow as well.
Alright, we're just going to go into a transition so we can show you how much water to fill in. Alright, so this is the pot we've got. It's pretty big. It's an ice pot, which is usually used for frozen flavours. That bit right there is where the ice goes. We would show you if it's possible. We're going to go back onto preparing this. Right, go on.
Alright, so when you're preparing this, you hold it by the bottom and make sure your feet are on either side. While you're lifting it, you just wiggle it out gently and then you pull, and it should come out.
Perfect.
Sometimes it takes a bit more effort, but most of the time it's the same thing. And then just like pick it up.
We're gonna use cold water, fresh cold water.
Yeah.
You could do it here.
On top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just a standard milk bowl. I can't lie. We put water in it. How the colds doing?
Oh, yeah. So when your colds start looking like this, that's when you know they need to be flipped. So you just get your tongs and you flip it. Make sure you do it to every single coil that you've got on. We're just using 2 this time, but normally do it with more. That's alright.
The reason why we're using 2 is because that's small.
Yeah, this head is pretty small. And because we're using one of these, those pretty much burn it evenly.
Okay, let's do the water.
Yeah.
How much do we fill up?
Okay, so normally what you'd want to do is fill it up between these 2 lines. So there's the bottom line, and then there's like a guideline. You fill it up in between these 2.
What happens if someone has a different base? What if they have a different base that's not the same as ours?
You basically measure it by how deep the pipe goes into it.
So basically this bit
Yeah.
is gonna go inside the base,
Yeah.
and the water just needs to be above that, so around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, that's just cold water that's been in the fridge. Just helps keep it cool when you're smoking. You get a cooler taste.
See that? Perfectly in between those 2 lines. Right here and right there. See?
Yep.
That's all. That's as much water as you'll need. You don't need more or less. If you put more, it's going to come up through that hose and then you'll probably be inhaling water and drown. And if you put less, then your shisha won't be smoked properly. When you're putting it back in, you literally just insert it in. You get the top and you just push. Put your weight onto it, wiggle it a bit like you did when you were taking it out. Just keep pushing. If it wiggles a bit afterwards, it's alright. But if it wiggles too much, then you know you need to push down a bit harder. And if it's still wiggling even after you've pushed it all the way in, you can just take it out and then wrap a bit of tape around the edge and put it back in until it's tight enough. Alright, so once your coils are done, you just bring your head over and you just literally put it on, twist, 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 and it should be tight. Yeah?
Okay, so it needs to be nice and tight, yeah?
Nice and tight. That's what she said. And then when you're ready, when your coils are ready, you just bring your coils over, make sure that, you know, you're not...
I'm sorry about that, guys. We've got people
Dangerous.
falling over everywhere.
Yeah, for real. Make sure that you're not dangerous, you know. It is a dangerous job, so make sure that you take every precaution necessary. We've got a fire blanket.
Sometimes I've seen people at lounges blowing the coals. What does that do?
Blowing the coals?
Yeah.
Alright, so move it, let me demonstrate. So blowing the coals, as you can see, when you blow onto it, they heat up more, and it helps it burn quicker. So if your coals aren't ready and you want to help them burn, just give them a little blow. That's what she said. And then just put your tongs on the side and you slap on the top. And your shisha should be ready until you put the hose on.
Now we just wait for it to cool, heat up, right?
Yeah. Just let it heat up for a bit. But usually you can smoke for that if you use foil. Right, so what I've got here is a soft touch pipe, but you can use a disposable pipe or a Kalua marine pipe, as most people would do. So this step is not really needed, but if your pipe does not fit your hole, that's what she said, you just wrap it around.
So basically the pipe goes in here, and normally you get a silicone thing that comes with it, but I won't lie, I lost mine, so I have to improvise. If you've lost yours, you can do this as well.
Right. So as you can see, you don't really need to be very precise with this. You just get a piece of tissue, fold it after ripping it, fold it again, and that should be alright. You get it, and you wrap it around the end that you want to put in. That's what she said. and you just stick it in nice and firm, like we like. Twist it a couple times, make sure it's alright. Yeah? See that? That's alright.
Okay.
So what I've got here is a standard
Show me
hose.
over here. It's hard to see.
Standard hose.
Yeah.
Just put it in and you smoke. But in this case we're going to be using an ice hose, which is normally used for frozen flavours, but you can use it standard normally.
What's an ice hose?
It's just pretty much a normal hose, but it's got ice in it and it makes it taste cooler and more refreshing, I guess. So what I'm doing here is we've got the ice out already. This is normally in your freezer, and you just replace the ice, you put it in and you just tighten it nice and tight like we like. Just stick it on, yeah, and then your shisha should be ready to smoke.
Alright, we're going to transition into a shot.
Yep. So what I'm going to do, adjust it, as you can see. Just
Take our first pull.
Standard.
Stand up.
We deserve this.